Dr. Seuss, the Red Sparrow, and the Texas Revolution are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 2nd, 2022. It is the 61st day of the year. We got 304 days left in this fine year. It's the 9th Wednesday in the 10th week in the 72nd day of winter. If today's your birthday, you're still a Pisces like me. Today's Dr. Seuss Day. Yeah, today is Dr. Seuss's birthday, so we celebrate Dr. Seuss Day. He was born Theodore Seuss Giesel. And we also celebrate the National Education Association. This association is there to kind of promote reading, and Dr. Seuss was a big part of it. Some quick facts about Dr. Seuss you might not know. He invented the word nerd. The first documented use of the word was in the 1950 book he wrote entitled If I Ran the Zoo, about a boy named Gerald McGrew who visited the zoo and ponders what it would be like if he ran the zoo. So, in a way, Dr. Seuss is partly responsible for the nerd culture, who basically are running the world right now. Second piece of trivia. When he was in World War II, he was in charge of not propaganda, but morale, and he did cartoons for the Stars and Stripes newspaper and a couple other things. Well, sitting directly across from him at another desk was another guy who was a writer. His name was Stan Lee, who went on to be the main guy for Marvel Comics. He invented people like Spider-Man, Captain America, the Fantastic Four, all kinds of good stuff. All right, let's see what else March 2nd has given us. 1836, the Texas Revolution. The Declaration of Independence of the Republic of Texas from Mexico is adopted. 1877, just 2 days before his inauguration, the U.S. Congress declares Rutherford B. Hayes the winner of the 1876 U.S. presidential election, even though Samuel J. Tilden had won the popular vote. 1901, the United States Steel Corporation is founded as a result of a merger between Carnegie Steel Company and the Federal Steel Company, which became the first corporation in the world with a market capital of $1 billion. Yeah, it was big back then. My great-grandfather worked for U.S. Steel for many years. 1917, Puerto Ricans become United States citizens. 1949, Captain James Gallagher lands his B-50 Superfortress Lucky Lady II in Fort Worth, Texas, after completing the first non-stop around-the-world airplane flight in 94 hours and 1 minute. 1972, Pioneer 10 space probe is launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, with a mission to explore the outer planets. This thing lasted a very long time. Pioneer 10 crossed the orbit of Saturn in 1976 and orbited Uranus in 1979. Yeah, I'm a child. I almost made a joke there. Anyway, on June 13th, 1983, the craft crossed the orbit of Neptune. And on that day, it became the first human-made object to leave the proximity of the major planets of the solar system. The mission came to an official end on March 31st, 1997, but it wasn't over. The last successful reception of telemetry was received from Pioneer 10 on April 27th, 2002. Subsequent signals were barely strong enough to detect and provided no usable data. The final very weak signal from Pioneer 10 was received on January 23rd, 2003. This thing lasted forever. I mean, honestly. 30 years, 10 months, 22 days. 1983, the compact disc and players are released for the first time in the United States and other markets. They had previously been available only in Japan. That was mind-blowing when that came out. I think I talked about the compact disc or something to do with it a couple of years ago on this channel. Maybe 2 years ago. It's only been going 2 years. Anyway, I remember listening to the radio and the compact disc was new and the DJs would always we got 2 more coming up on compact disc. You know, like it was this exciting thing and now we don't even use them. 1998, data sent from the Galileo spacecraft indicates that Jupiter's moon, Europa, has liquid oceans on it, but it's under a thick crust of ice. They're not sure what kind of liquid it is. Well, I'm sure it's some form of water if it's under ice. I mean, wouldn't it be weird if they got in there and found out like it was grape Kool-Aid or something like that? 2012, a tornado outbreak occurs over large sections of the southern United States and into the Ohio Valley region, resulting in 40 tornado-related fatalities. That's pretty harsh. Movies released on March 2nd, 2018. Red Sparrow. A ballerina is recruited into the Russian intelligence service called Sparrow School, where she is taught to use her body as a weapon. This starred Jennifer Lawrence, and it is an excellent, excellent movie. It's got Jeremy Irons in it and Mary Louise Parker. Great movie. If you ever get a chance to watch it, don't watch it with don't watch it with kids. Jennifer Lawrence goes full nude in it. I have no problem with that, but I don't want to be recommending something to someone who might be watching a movie with their 12-year-old kid or something like that, and then get angry emails. But if you ever get a chance, watch that movie. It's pretty good. Born on March 2nd, 1982, Hendrick Lundqvist. If you never heard of him, he is a great goaltender who began his career with the New York Rangers in 2005, won the Vienza Trophy as the league's top goalie in 2012. He became the first goaltender in NHL history to win 30 or more games in each of his first 7 seasons. He was outstanding. He retired at the end of the 2020 season. Other than time he had spent playing in Sweden and different things like that, he played in the NHL with the New York Rangers his entire career. That was from 2005, is when he first played his first game with them, till it ended in 2020. That's a long time in hockey. Died on March 2nd, 2012, we lost Van Thurman Barfoot. Never heard of him? He is a Medal of Honor winner. I'm going to read you his citation after I tell you a little bit about him. Van Thomas Barfoot was a United States Army officer and the recipient of the U.S. military's highest decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his actions in World War II. He was born in Mississippi, and his grandmother was a Choctaw Indian. After enlisting in the Army, in 1940, he completed his training barefoot, served as the 1st Infantry Division in Louisiana and Puerto Rico. In December of 1941, he was promoted to sergeant and reassigned to the headquarters of an amphibious assault unit in Quantico, Virginia, where he served until he was deactivated in 1943. He next joined the 157th Regiment of the 45th Infantry Division, where he was shipped to Europe. Now, when he got his Medal of Honor, he hadn't been commissioned to a lieutenant yet. They kind of did that because he got the Medal of Honor. But this is what he did. On 23 May 1944 in Italy, with his platoon heavily engaged during an assault against forces well entrenched on commanding ground, 2nd Lieutenant Barfoot, then Technical Sergeant Barfoot, moved off alone on the enemy's left flank. He crawled near the first machine gun nest and made a direct hit with a hand grenade, killing 2 and wounding a 3rd German. He continued along the German defense to another machine gun emplacement, and with his machine gun, he killed 2 more and captured 3 German soldiers. Members of another enemy machine gun crew then abandoned their weapon and gave themselves up to Sergeant Barefoot. Leaving the prisoners for his support squad to pick up, he proceeded to mop up positions in the immediate area, capturing more prisoners and bringing his total to 17. Later in the day, after he reorganized his men and consolidated the newly captured ground forces, the enemy launched a fierce armored counterattack directly at his platoon position. Securing a bazooka, Sergeant Barefoot took up a position directly in front of 3 advancing Mark 6 tanks. From a distance of about 75 yards, he destroyed the first one's tracks with a bazooka, disabling it and making it impossible for the other tanks to get by. The crew of the disabled tank got out and decided to kind of chase him down and kill him. He killed all 3 of them. After he killed them, he realized that there was a abandoned field artillery, like a cannon. He went up and threw explosives in it and disabled that. Completely spent, no ammo. He was exhausted. He'd had a rough morning. He started basically heading back down to his troops and found 2 seriously wounded American soldiers, and he carried them 1,700 yards so they can get some help. When you've done all that, it's time to just send the dude home. It's you've done enough for the war effort. Why don't you go home and relax? Anyway, this guy didn't die in World War II. He lasted till 2012 when he died at the age of 92. Sadly, he tripped and hit his head and died 2 days later in front of his home. If you knew his backstory and you were his family and then he died, doctors probably, he passed away. You'd have to be a little shocked and go, I didn't think anything could kill this dude. There's a stretch of highway in Mississippi named for him, and also the McGuire Veterans Hospital in Richmond, Virginia. One of the buildings carries his name as well. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.